Hello, this is Zephyr Flippy Dig here with another lens review. This time we're going to look at one of my favourite lenses of all time, and this is for the Z-mount system, and this is the 24mm to 200mm, and it is a variable aperture. This does f4 at the wide end, goes up to 6.3 at the far end. So that kind of shows you what kind of lens this is. It's not an S-line one, so the quality isn't top tier, but even for what it is, it's still pretty good. It does actually have like a little lock switch, so you can turn that on. It's not necessarily going to open all the way out if you're not using it, but it's just kind of useful just to kind of, if you're packing into a bag, you kind of want to have it on that lock position. That's on when you have it on the widest setting of 24. That's when you can activate the lock. So it'll basically prevent the lens from expanding. Otherwise, that's how it expands and contracts by twisting. So yeah, it shows you it goes fairly far actually. And honestly, 200mm is actually really nice as a telephoto, even if you can't go super far. Also on my Z camera, I can actually set it to do video in cropped mode. So then it increases the range by a further 1.5 times. So you get kind of equivalent length of focal length of about 300, which is really good for videos and stuff. And yeah, this has been brilliant actually. I kind of always wanted to have a try at some of the new telephoto lenses. So this one probably sets you back at least about 750 quid or so. So it's not necessarily the cheapest lens. In terms of weight, it's not too weighty, which is a good thing. But yeah, have a look at these photos and yeah, let me know which ones you like. Alright, so downsides. In terms of the aperture, unfortunately you are going to suffer a little bit with the aperture. I mean, even though the Z cameras are pretty good at the low light, you will kind of struggle, especially in the darker conditions. Unfortunately, when you get to, I think even when you get to about like 70 or 50mm focal length, I think it already starts to creep up quite quickly in terms of the aperture number. So sadly, you're not really going to get much benefit of the, like, around f4. I mean, I think like between the 24 and the 35, I think f number is like relatively low. When you start going for the more telephoto focal lengths, that's when you're really going to start to struggle in terms of the aperture. So what that means is most likely your shutter speed will go down, and you'll kind of have a bit of possibly blur, or alternatively darker photos. But it's not entirely unfixable. Again, during like daytime and evening, this is still pretty good. Even in the kind of like the less light times of day, you can probably still get like decent shots. In terms of the focusing of things, it does focus fairly quickly. Again, with the more telephoto end of things, you probably will start to struggle a little bit in terms of the focusing, but it'll still do a pretty good job. I have to admit, other lenses are going to be quicker at focusing, and it's not the absolute top tier telephoto lens. But if you just want to get something that's not too expensive, you kind of want to have a bit of a taste for telephoto, but don't want to dive into like the really expensive and heavy lenses. Honestly, you could do worse than this, and actually this is not too bad. So in terms of lenses, I can't give this too high of a score because there are better ones than it. But in terms of what it is, I would give this at least a solid 9, maybe even a little higher actually, but it is quite a capable lens, and even though it's not an S-line lens, quality is still pretty good, especially on something where the megapixels are not so high. Like for example, the Z6, you only got like a 24 megapixel camera, so it's not going to be a massive difference between like the cheaper end and the higher quality lenses. But yeah, that's my take on the 24 to 200. Hopefully you enjoyed that video, and in the meantime, catch you next time. Have a very good one. Bye bye. Hello, thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you could do me a tiny favour, click on that little bell for notifications and make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you want to catch my latest videos. I do photography, I do all kinds of fur con and fur meat stuff, so make sure you check out and stay tuned for future content, and be aware that I do stream on Twitch as well. I tend to do that on the Tuesday evenings usually, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. But yeah, till then, catch you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.